The Bitcoin halving is just over 1 week away. This is a moment we've been waiting for years now, at least myself personally, being in the market for about 2.5 years at this point. This has been the big thing that everyone's been waiting for. So we're really close, set to happen on April 19th. So a little over 1 week. And today I just figured we'd look at the macro picture for Bitcoin and look at all the prior halvings and what we saw after and before the halving, the previous halvings, and see what maybe we could expect for this halving. Obviously, ultimately, there's no way to know. We're all just taking our best guess here. I have no idea what's going to happen in the market, but I thought it would be interesting to at least look at the past halvings, see what happened, see where the total market is right now, and where we might be headed from this point forward. So it'll probably be a bit of a shorter video, but if you enjoy this kind of content, please subscribe to the channel. We're approaching 1,000 subscribers. Channel's going pretty quick, so I appreciate all the support. And let's just jump into it. So Bitcoin right now is sitting right around 69,000, right around our old all-time high. Just kind of hanging out on top of it. We had a bit of a fake out over this triangle we've been putting in, this pennant. We came down to 67.5 this morning, and we bounced back up pretty decently. Almost went back up to 70, but yeah, just kind of faked out of the triangle, came back in, and now we're teetering around. The interesting part is that this triangle we're putting in comes to an apex right around the time that we're having the next halving, right around the 19th to the 22nd, like within this time range. So this is an interesting thing that we're putting in, right? Because normally we would expect some kind of break out of this pattern by then. And could that be that we get a pump into the halving and then we dump, or could it be we just consolidate and then once the halving comes we break out, whether that be to the upside or the downside, and then we get a post-halving pump or a post-halving dump? Ultimately, I don't know that the halving actually really has much of an impact on the price in the short term. I think in the long term, of course, it plays at that supply-demand dynamic, how there's less supply, especially with the ETFs now, gobbling up a lot of Bitcoin on a daily basis. With the halving coming soon, there's going to be less Bitcoin being produced, right? Half the amount on a daily basis. So there's less Bitcoin that can be bought up. That's all while at the same time we have Bitcoin on exchanges going down very consistently and starting to hit new lows. I believe like almost every day the amount of Bitcoin liquid on exchanges is hitting new lows. So this plays well into the supply and demand dynamic, and I think in the long run, as you'll see when we go back here, this should, in theory, as it has before, appreciate the price of Bitcoin, which in turn should appreciate the price of the whole market. So if we zoom out a little here to the weekly, we can see, okay, we had our bull run, our bear market. We're coming up to the halving now. Our last halving was over here in May of 2020. And going into this halving, we pumped pretty hard. Okay. And then once the halving came, kind of just moved sideways. We moved sideways for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, like a little over 2 months, just going sideways before we saw, a move up, and this ultimately started our parabolic move to new all-time highs. So interesting. We also have pumped pretty hard going into this, but we've already been going sideways now for about, a month, a little over a month. So interesting. This one we pumped and then we went sideways. Pumped into it, sideways after. Okay. But ultimately, right, halving came and then eventually we saw much higher prices. Go back over here. What do we do? This was in July of 2016, this halving. So we pumped a little bit before. Then going into it, we actually dumped. And then after it, we dumped some more before basing out. And then going on our parabolic rally into new all-time highs. So we had come up a considerable amount off the lows, but immediately going into the halving, like the weeks going into it, it was just dumps. Dumping for about, again, it looks like about a 2-month period here where we just were going down and like ranging. But then again, ultimately leads to higher prices, right? And then if we go back to the first halving in November of 2012, going into it, we were kind of just going sideways, a little bit of a pump, but going sideways. And then immediately after the halving, it looks like we just started to rip. We went up a little bit, sideways again for like 4 weeks, but then ultimately straight up, much higher prices. So a lot of people, right, they believe in the 4 year cycle, the block reward halving narrative, that the halving is what sets up these bull runs and causes these bull runs to happen. I'm still not so sure that I'm on that boat. I think there are larger macro factors at play, but you can't deny that every time we've had a halving, eventually that has led to much higher prices for Bitcoin. So will this time be different, or will this halving eventually lead to much higher prices for Bitcoin, right? I believe that we've been following 2017 pretty similarly in terms of like the way that our cycle has played out. So this is obviously super Moonboy, like Moonboy-esque, but you just copy this fractal over, right? You could see we've kind of loosely followed it. I don't think we're going to go this high, like percentage-wise in returns, so like 800,000, but I think this fractal's been pretty on point. We've moved up. We're kind of staying with it. I wouldn't be surprised to range here for a few more weeks, maybe get a post having a bit of a pullback. Again, just chop around before we do see that next leg up and break, 90, 100K and continue this parabolic curve that we've been on for a while now. So those are the past halvings. And if we want to look at the more macro scale of things right now, recently, just yesterday or 2 days ago, Brad Garlinghouse came out and said that he's expecting the crypto market cap to double to 5 trillion by the end of the year. So some people think that this is kind of a bearish call. I think it's kind of bearish. I think we could go a lot higher than that. But honestly, if the market cap were to double from here, 2.5 trillion to 5 trillion, you'd see some crazy prices for a lot of coins. And obviously, as the market gets bigger, everybody talks about it, there's going to be some diminishing returns. You can't just go on these insane 10,000, 20,000% moves as the market gets as big as it is now. I think 10 trillion is possible. I feel like that might be a little bullish, but I think 5 trillion definitely in the cards, and that would, again, put some crazy valuations for a lot of the altcoins, in my opinion. So, again, every time we've seen the halving, eventually it leads to higher prices, and the same goes for the total market cap, because it just ultimately follows Bitcoin, right? So the pattern would look the same. This is what I would expect is, again, who knows what's going to happen in the short term, but the halving typically leads to higher prices for the whole market. So until we see that, I'm not interested in selling anything. I'm still looking for deals on altcoins that are still low in their accumulation ranges, and dollar cost averaging, man. I think that's the way to go, especially if you're just entering the market. Again, not financial advice. Make your own decisions, do your own research, but I think we're still quite a ways away from the top. And I think it'll be really clear when we're at the top if you've been in this market for more than one cycle. The peak euphoria, all over the news, social media, Coinbase #1 in the App Store, Pi Cycle top, extreme greed, all your friends asking about it. So we're really far off from there still. But again, this could happen very fast. Once you get into a phase like that, it only takes a few months and then it's all over. So that's a general overview for the Bitcoin halving. I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a like. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe to the channel, as I said before. Going for that 1,000 subscribers, hopefully within the next few months. I've been grinding hard, videos every day. So hope to see y'all in the next one. Peace.